And here we are back with the second GB4 race of the weekend, the first here on Sunday at Snetterton. And if you're new to the GB4 Championship, I mean, me and Piers have discussed this loads because we're such massive fans of what Jonathan Palmer at MSV has done. It's a championship that means that a lot of drivers that perhaps wouldn't have the funds or the budget to race in GB3 can still race very competitively in very, very similar cars and maybe have it as a pathway to GB3.
GB4 is an excellent championship. It started out this year and we've seen some great racing so far. It's an affordable way to get into single-seater motorsport. We all know motorsport's expensive, so relatively speaking it's cheap. Of course it costs money, but the drivers that get the opportunity to come straight from karts or other lower formulas like Janetta Juniors, they can drive at 15 years old and they can race on a championship with great coverage from our streams, as well as being on the British GT weekends. Great exposure, great experience, and also the racing we've seen so far has been incredible.
Absolutely, and I have to say Nicholas Taylor is one of the drivers that's absolutely blown us away in terms of his pace, in terms of how he's come into this with very little experience, and he's excelled, and there were a couple of things he's worked on that we've talked about, the starts, and now he's got those down. He does look unbeatable, and in the first race of the weekend, well, he stormed to victory, and here are the highlights.
The start of the second half of the season would see Nicholas Taylor starting from pole position. An issue from Tom Mills from the front row of the grid. It would effectively count as a jump start and he'd receive a 10-second post-race penalty in that number 21 Kevin Mills racing car. Down into turn one though, he'd still race his way up and hold on to second position. Jared Wilburski would try and get his way around the outside as the two teammates would battle. Bit of a lock-up from Nicholas Taylor coming down into Agostini. Wasn't too much though, was able to pick up the second apex on the exit of the corner of the race down towards Hamilton. He'd feel the pressure in the early stages from Tom Mills, who was attacking the rear end of Taylor, but at the end of the first lap Taylor was leading once again in the GB4 Championship. Of course, in the background, a great move from Jack Sherwood would get around the outside of Max Maserati. The two of them would battle it out for a few corners before Jack Sherwood would take over fourth position in the race. The two Graham Brunton racing cars would battle over seventh and eighth position. Chloe Grant just ahead of her teammate Logan Hanna, who was trying to get that position from them. The two of them would switch over a couple of times over the course of the race. Jack Sherwood, after the penalty for Tom Mills, would actually be promoted onto the podium to make it his fourth podium of the season if he could hang on to that position. Logan Hanna would get past Chloe Grant, but then would have an issue as well, and Chloe Grant was able to get back through into seventh. Nicholas Taylor though, victorious for the fifth time in the GB4 Championship. Behind though in the results, of course, we'll see the likes of Wilburski and Sherwood promoted up into second and third after the 10-second time penalty to Tom Mills, which would drop him all the way down into sixth position. Megan Gilks inside the top five, just behind her teammate Max Maserati, Chloe Grant, Logan Hanna and Jessica Edgar rounding out the results. And what that does to the points is it gives Nicholas Taylor a very comfortable lead in the championship after his fifth victory from his fifth pole in the series, and it would give him a good lead over Max Maserati, Wilburski, Alex Walker dropping down, of course, not here this weekend. Christian Lester still behind Chloe Grant. Of course, Christian Lester not racing this weekend. Chloe Grant just outside of the top 10.
I mentioned before there, Nicholas Taylor absolutely storming it. The first thing I've got to ask you, Lewis McGlade, our commentator, was chatting to Nicholas Taylor, and Nicholas Taylor will start on pole for this race. He was basically thinking that with 9 cars on the grid this weekend, Nicholas Taylor's got a very good chance of making it a triple.
The triple is definitely on. With only 9 cars, normally he's on pole for the first race, he's on pole, and he won that. He's on pole for the second race, so he's in a great opportunity for the first race this morning to take another victory. But if he can get through, was it I think 7 or 8 cars? No, 9 cars in the third race of the weekend, then he could be the first triple winner in the GB4.
All he's got to do is overtake 8 cars. I mean, and the thing is, he's got, I know that sounds crazy, he has got the pace. We've seen some of the cars lacking pace. So Nicholas Taylor, could really extend that lead. And we talked yesterday with Max Maserati, because with Alex Walker not racing and questions over his future in GB4, the gap between Max Maserati, who's second, and Nicholas Taylor, if Max has another bad race now and Nicholas wins again, it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah,
that gap is growing every race at the moment. Max Maserati's in the championship hunt, second place, and was fighting out with Alex Walker until he obviously not here this weekend, unfortunately. So he's in a solid place in second place, but yeah, Nicholas Taylor driving away. If it keeps going the way it is, then it looks like there's only one person who's going to win this championship, and it's his to lose. So we're only just over the halfway point, so maybe too early to say that. But he's the man on form. He's won the most races. He's looking imperious this weekend at Snetterton in his first year of car racing. He's doing excellently.
Now we saw Jack Sherwood for Elite coming third, and the Alex Walker situation does impact him as well, because that was his teammate. And we've talked about it quite a lot, that when you are going it alone in a team and you've only got one driver, you've got half the amount of data, and you've also got half the amount of expertise and sharing little tips and things. How much will Alex not be racing with Elite anymore affect Jack Sherwood?
Alex, before he isn't this round. He was the lead driver, I'd say, on pace generally in qualifying in the races in elite motorsport. Jack Sherwood, his first year in car racing, his first year in single seaters, my mistake, because he did Genesis Juniors previously. He was learning a lot off Alex, and he's getting up to pace. He'd set some fastest laps, he'd shown really good pace, but the consistency wasn't quite there. Unfortunately, now being on his own in that elite motorsport car in GB4, he's got a little bit less data to work with. They can't try as many setup options if they've only got one car, because if you have 2 or 3 cars, you can go different ways in the setup and as a team find out the best route. So it hampers you a little bit. It doesn't mean that all is lost. We've seen that Sherwood's done a great job this weekend, setting fastest lap in the first race yesterday and making his way onto the podium after, unfortunately, Tom Mills had his penalty. So he's got the pace, but it might be a bit more of a struggle for the second half of the year without a teammate, whereas Nicholas Taylor does have the teammate as well at Vortex, so in Jess Edgar, so there's a little bit they can share there.
And the thing is that drivers have come and gone, so we may see someone come into elite and partner him there. And I'm sure that if there's a car that they need, they can get hold of the car, the GB4 car, and we can hopefully maybe get him a teammate. There's a lot of interest in GB4, thankfully, so that is quite positive. And we mentioned Tom Mills there, very disappointing for him. Just that slight mistake has absolutely dropped him back.
Yeah, unfortunately, jump start. Just went about half a car over the line before the lights went out. Managed to stop the car, but by that time, the penalty is already going to be applied. It's right in front of the start marshals. They're never going to miss that. And he was really, really buoyed after qualifying. We spoke to him and he said he was really happy. Best qualifying of the season, second and third in the first race, third in the second race. But that jump start put him down in, I think it was 8th or 9th, no, 7th position or something.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was 7th position. Very disappointing. It shows how fine the margins are. A small mistake like that can really hurt your weekend. But he's got another chance today, going from 3rd place. If he gets a good start, he's had good pace. There's no reason why he can't have a go at another podium today. Jared Boberski on the podium, 2nd place yesterday, was very impressive as well. So that Kevin Mills racing car working very well this weekend.
It's been a little while since we've seen Jared Boberski on the podium, and I think he mentioned it himself. Now we're about to get thrown off the track here at Snetterton, so before we do, we'll show you where we're racing here this weekend. Surprisingly, as I just mentioned it, at Snetterton.
Well, to Norfolk and to Snetterton as we race our way down to the Snetterton 300 circuit. Another one of these circuits that was built in the early 50s as a slew of old Air Force bases were turned into racetracks. This one of the longest of them, at 3 miles long, really is a tricky circuit. Deceptively tricky, in fact. It's fairly flat all the way around its run, but it has the odd bump, the odd bit of undulation, and very, very tricky corners, divided up into the 3 sectors, all of which having great overtaking opportunities, down into the Montreal hairpin, into Agostini, and hey, even into the Brundle-Nelson complex at the end of the Bentley Straight. So much racing can happen around Snetterton.
Let's take an onboard lap with our double pole sitter Nicholas Taylor at the Snetterton 300 circuit, keeping right over the start-finish line to minimise the run as we head into the very, very fast Rich's corner. Just a lift in GB4, you'll see that he gets a massive amount of oversteer through the middle of the corner, potentially the wind that has been plaguing the drivers this weekend. Heavy braking zone, nice and late, down 4 gears into the Wilson or Montreal hairpin. A late apex for good traction, making sure not to use too much curb on the exit. Then up the gears, 3rd, 4th gear, down 1 gear. No, actually we're going up early to stabilise the car through the very tricky Palmer corner, the wind helping the car there. We then have the short run, 430 metres to Agostini hairpin, one of the main overtaking opportunities on the lap, especially on the first lap when the cars are all close together. Traction, very important out of this slow corner. We then head towards Hamilton, 1 lift, getting close to the tyres, making sure you don't hit it. Big handful of oversteer there, and then the braking zone for Oggies is very bumpy. Traction's important here, patient on the throttle. You can see you had to feather it slightly there. Then the very important run, again up early on the gears through Williams to settle the rear of the car to exit onto the Bentley Straight, 790 metres. Even in these GB4 cars travelling at 135 miles an hour as we fly under the bridge, braking for Brundle and then into Nelson. Brundle, keep it left, get in early, get on the curb, use the camber, and then square off the corner for Nelson. Exit's very important, not too high on that curb. We're then completely flat through the dip of the bomb hole. Car compresses in the middle of the corner, on the curb on the exit. Then we're going to stay wide as we go around the entry of Coram to keep the steering open and to allow us a little bit of a straighter braking for the final corner, which is Murray's. You see Nicholas fighting the car there, even on one of his fastest laps of qualifying here, and then the all-important run down the centre straight to finish off a lap here of Snetterton 300 circuit.
Well, I'm now here in the pit lane in the searing sunshine, so the sunglasses are a necessity, with Robert, who's one of the marshals here, and we've chatted quite a lot over the times we've been here so far today. And I mean, sunglasses is probably the essential thing you need as a marshal, because I mean, just constant sunshine here. which is rare in racetracks in the UK.
Oh yeah, definitely, especially here in the pit lane. You're so close to cars, so you've got all the windows, the reflection of the sun off the tarmac, the windows.
The wind as well.
And the wind is a vital part of marshalling equipment.
I imagine it is. Now, in terms of the good work you guys do, I mean, we see you all the time and we hear about you a lot on the commentary, but, you know, I feel like I should come and chat to you, which is why I've grabbed you now, Robert. And how many marshals are there working at Snetterton?
The number varies weekend to weekend. You'll get, like, big meetings, you'll get more marshals, and then you get marshals that will do just one meeting, so they might follow the GTs around or follow the touring cars around, but it can really vary.
Yeah. In terms of your roles, now I see all of you doing different things. Do you kind of share those, or is there a bit of a hierarchy? Are there people that have been here longer, like yourself, that, you know, you can do the more sort of serious things that need a bit more care and attention? Obviously, you're all very well trained, but, you know, is there a bit of a hierarchy in that case?
Well, in the pit lane and on the start line, it's sort of we're all at a level of we can all deal with anything that needs to be dealt with. So we'll deal with spillages or incidents in the pit lane. And at the start of a race, if we get a collision off the start, we'll go out and deal with that and just make sure that everybody's having a good day and staying safe.
We do see when there are cars that are stranded on the grid or they have problems starting, how quickly you guys get on there and sort it all out. So, I mean, it's an amazing job you do. How do you actually get into it? I mean, obviously, I presume most of you are car fans.
Yeah, most of the marshals in the pit lane here especially have got a very, they're really interested in like motorsport, racing. And I know for myself, I've been marshalling 4 or 5 years now, and I got into it by coming up and doing a taster day.
Right.
And then from there, I just went up to the Chief Marshal's team and said, that was an amazing day, I'd like to come back. And they went, let us know when you're free and you can come back.
And the rest is history, that's what they say. Now, we've got to talk about perks of the job, because there's always perks with jobs, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, good. Now, one of your boss men, I mean, what's his name, the guy with the hat?
What one? They're all wearing
There's
hats.
a guy with a cowboy hat on the left with a bit of a bandana here at Snetterton.
Oh, that's Doug.
Can you just pan around at Doug? You see Doug there, look at him. He's out on the left there, right, far left. He's having a great time. Look at him there. Just, you know, getting ready. Next to our co-commentator, Piers Pryor. Hi, Doug. There he is, waving to us. Now, he was telling me, now he's very happy, this morning, he had a big old breakfast for free, so apparently you get free food.
Yeah, that is one of the perks of the job. As a marshal, you get a free breakfast and a hot drink both mornings.
Right.
And it just depends on sort of what club they do, sort of different stuff.
So they look after you is what's important, you know.
Oh yeah, they definitely do look after us. Like in hot weather, they'll deliver cold bottles of water just to keep us all hydrated and make sure that we're all good and prepared.
Running a tight ship. The final question I've got for you, Robert, and it's an obvious question. You know, you're working at a racetrack. Have you been around the racetrack in a car?
Oh yes, I have.
Right, it sounds like you've been through in quite a few cars.
Yes, I have. The best one was Ferrari SF90, 1,000 horsepower, hybrid last year. That was 263 kilometres down the Bentley Straight. That's
all right.
Amazing.
Well, look, the GB4 cars don't quite do that speed, but Robert, thank you very much for chatting to us now. The GB4 race coming up, of course, and I mean, 1,000 horsepower, did you say?
Yes, 1,000.
They're not quite 1,000 horsepower, but let's look at the car that the kids are racing today.
Here is our steed then for the 2022 GB4 Championship, the Tartus F4 T014. Starting with a powertrain, a 1.4 litre inline-4 producing 160 brake horsepower to get it up to speed, and then with Brembo brakes to slow it down from it. A 6-speed sequential gearbox controlled naturally by paddles on the rear of the steering wheel, and then a toolbox rear wing with 2 profiles pushing the rear end into the ground through some of our high and medium speed sections of our racetrack. Running on Pirelli tyres for this season, keeping them in check through the races will be paramount to a successful challenge in the championship, and with a carbon fibre composite monocoque, it means the car weighs just 570 kilograms. With twin wishbone suspension to keep that weight in check as our drivers wrestle it around the lumps and bumps. Finally, at the front of the car, an adjustable single element front wing.
Well, I'm here in the assembly area now. I have to say there is a bit of a breeze. We were talking with peers about how much the wind will affect things around here at Snetterton, and yesterday it felt like it was windy one minute and it was nice and calm the next, but today I think it's just a consistent breeze. We'll maybe get Piers' thoughts in just a second here. But as we've been talking about all morning, Nicholas Taylor here on pole position here and looking kind of unbeatable at the moment, if I'm honest. He is going for 3 race wins this weekend. He's already got 1 in the bag. He's starting on pole here. I mean, it's looking like, you know, he's going to start on pole and potentially, you know, probably stay there if he gets into the first corner and manages to hold it together. Just chatting to here with his team at Fortec. Don't know if we can chat to him. Maybe they're just chatting there. Maybe we'll just leave them for a second. We'll come back to Nicholas Taylor. We've got Nicholas's mum here. Hello.
Hi.
Are you proud of Nicholas?
Of course.
He's done very well, hasn't he?
Yes. I'm still worried, of course, every single time.
Of course, but
Yeah.
you know what? In terms of positioning, he's won 1 race. He could win this race. He's starting on pole position, and we were saying earlier maybe 3 races in a weekend. Do you think he can do all 3?
I believe in him.
Okay, we
Yeah.
believe him in as well.
Okay, good.
Thank you very much. We'll let you continue preparations there. I love that confidence there from Nicholas's mum. We've got Jared Waberski here with Kevin Mills Racing, starting second on the grid with Tom Mills, who is obviously Kevin Mills' son. He's starting in 3rd position here. Obviously Tom Mills very unlucky in that second race, driving a fantastic race but getting that 10-second penalty which dropped him back. He'll be hoping he gets a solid start now, and no issues as we go on here. Just chatting to his sister Emily, one of the team here at Kevin Mills Racing. A real family affair with Kevin Mills Racing, and obviously if Tom can get a good start here, he's in a great position to go into that first corner, challenge his teammate. And of course you've got Nicholas Taylor here on pole position, who will be hoping to maybe get away from that and not get involved in that as the race starts. Now looking as we go further back, we've got the Soul Elite car, Jack Sherwood, starting 4th position here with Megan Gilks here. Nick Gilks not around. Let's go and have a little chat with Megan Gilks. I believe she's just having a final briefing here. Here we go. Megan, where's Nick?
Hopefully he's coming right now.
Well, Nick's always here. We're just saying on the live stream, he's always here supporting you. This is the first time I've not seen Nick Gilks around. We know he had a double espresso earlier and he was bouncing off the walls. Maybe he's on a come down from that.
Yeah, I think so, to be honest.
All right, well your car's starting, so I'll probably let you go now. Right, Megan Gilks there, always willing to talk to us while she's sat here in assembly. We're going to get out of the way now as quick as we possibly can. And I think as the cars go out here, we'll maybe show you a picture of it, but I'm going to hand over to our commentator Lewis McGlade before our cameraman Corey gets just run over. Out of the way.
Well, cheers to John Jackson there. We'll obviously rejoin later on in the afternoon when we get to talking to the drivers that will finish this race on the podium. Who will that be, though? Of course, after a 5th victory yesterday from Nicholas Taylor, he starts from his 6th pole position in the GB4 Championship, and will certainly be eyeing up a 6th victory indeed as well. The last time we went racing at Snetterton, though, of course, I think, yeah, we'll throw it back to a bit earlier on in the year, where he started with 2 brand new tyres, which you can kind of see that brand new tyre on the rear left of the car was brand new. When we raced at Snetterton at the start of the season, in the second race, Nicholas Taylor started with 2 brand new left side tyres and then had a little bit of a spin on the very first lap of the race, coming down into the Brundle-Nelson complex. He'll be eager not to repeat that. Speaking of repeats as well, Tom Mills will be eager not to repeat the race start that he had yesterday, where it wasn't technically a jump start. I mean, it was a jump start, but I think technically in the ruling it was counted as a starting out of position, because he did bring it to a stop and then started correctly at the right time, but he was obviously outside of his box. That's why he got a 10-second time penalty as opposed to anything in the likes of a drive-through. So might have rescued at least some points from that, finishing in 6th position, just behind his teammate Jared Waberski, and of course Jack Sherwood, who's been on a massive charge so far in the last couple of rounds. Did absolutely brilliantly back in Donington Park. Obviously picked off that final podium, the final race of the Silverstone weekend, the 3rd weekend of racing that we had there. Finished on the podium to Jack Sherwood, and from that point has finished 3rd, 6th, 3rd, 2nd, 3rd. Is looking absolutely incredible right now. We'll be starting this race from 5th position, so we'll be feeling fairly strong from that, but they'll all have to beat this man here, Nicholas Taylor, who is just so in control right now, feeling very, very comfortable indeed in the GB4 Championship of 2022 as we get the formation lap underway. And again, all the tyre warming and such will begin now. It's slightly warmer than it was for the GB3 race a bit earlier on this afternoon, so the conditions are a little bit easier to bring the cars back into their operating window. Nicholas Taylor will be a very, very tough man to beat this afternoon. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to topple the man himself as they'll drive their way down into the hairpin. Nicholas Taylor will start from his 6th pole position of the season. Jared Bursky on the front row for the very first time in his GB4 career. Of course, his teammate did the same feat yesterday, but now Tom Mills will have to start from 3rd. Max Maserati starting in 4th for both of the races this weekend. In 5th position is Jack Sherwood, who set the fastest lap yesterday. He'll be alongside Megan Gilks, who I did ask earlier if she was going to win this race. She said it's a bit tough from 6th position. Chloe Grant and Logan Hannah bowed it out plenty of times yesterday, and Jessica Edgar, who will start the final race of the day from the reverse grid pole, will roll from this one from 9th position. Piers Pryor is alongside myself, Liz McLean. Hello.
Hello.
You're right there.
Another GB4 race. Here we go.
This is going to be. Look, I know, like, you know, the immediate criticism is obviously only 4 cars. Now, this is a brand new championship still. We're still learning our ropes bit by bit. We're down a couple of cars courtesy of other commitments and stuff, and then of course Alex Walker and such. But the racing in GB4, even if it was only a 3-car grid, I'd still guarantee it being good racing.
We love the GB4 races. We look forward to them every time. We know that they are entertaining. We've seen great racing at every single round we've had so far. And hopefully another crack coming up now. Really interesting. I was on the grid now. Most teams have chosen to take new tyres in this race. 2 new tyres, of course. Only 6 tyres per race weekend from qualifying in the 3 races. So normally you take 4 new tyres in qualifying, and then you have 2 tyres to go on one side or the other at some point during the 3 races. Most teams have taken 2 in this race, but the thing is, pole position, Nicholas Taylor, taking 2 new tyres on the left-hand side. Then 2nd and 3rd, the 2 Kevin Mills racing cars, 2 new tyres on the right-hand side. Then the cars after that, Jack Sherwood on the left. And then, who's after that? We then have the 2 Hill Speeds with 2 tyres on the right-hand side. Or is it left-hand side? And then finally, GBR cars on the left-hand side once again. So it's a mix-up of they've almost all taken new tyres, but which side is team preference, driver preference, and it'd be interesting to see how that affects the cars.
Yeah, I was told from some teams that they tend to put it onto the right-hand side, which is the less loaded side around here. And what they tend to do is they've moved the right-hand sides from yesterday over to the left. They've introduced the new tyres on the right, and then they move them back over for the next race. Why would you do that rather than just putting the fresh tyres on the left?
It's a clockwise circuit, so the tyres that do the most work and the tyres that you get the most lap time from are the tyres on the left-hand side. So if you put new tyres on the left-hand side, it might, in the GB4, might take a corner or 2, maybe a lap to get them into their optimum driving window. But once you've got those tyres in, then you're potentially looking at a second a lap extra pace. However, if you put them on the inside, so the right-hand side, you can then get the opportunity to scrub, what they say is scrub the tyres in. So you work them without overworking them on the right-hand side, so they are sort of in the prime window or just past the prime window but close to it. So then when you move them across in the final race from the new tyres on the right-hand side in race 2 to the final one in race 3, you then have a perfectly scrubbed set of almost new tyres on your left-hand side with then the used tyres on the right-hand side. So it's an idea of basically spreading your use of the new tyres over the weekend more evenly rather than just going 2 new tyres on the left-hand side, and then you get a lot of performance out of them, but you wear them out quite a lot during that one session. That's what Nicholas Taylor has done. But it should mean that he has a tyre advantage over the cars directly behind him for this race.
Well, here we go then. The GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, is about to get underway for its 14th race of the season. We are just 10 from home now to crowning our champion. But who's going to take top honours this afternoon? Nicholas Taylor will start from pole position with Jared Bursky alongside as we get ready to race for 18 minutes. Should be 10 laps around the Snetterton 300 circuit. It's a long hold on the grid, and Nicholas Taylor is in control. We're still waiting to see them launch their way down towards turn 1 at Riches. And let's see what Nicholas Taylor can do. It was a slow launch, and Jared Bursky was able to take the most of that. He's got the whole shot on the run down towards turn 1. Bursky taking the victory, of course, back in Alton Park. He's trying to steal one here today. He's got to the outside of Riches, and he has taken the lead. Jack Sherwood has managed to get past Max Maserati and up in the 3rd spot. But Nicholas Taylor instantly back on the attack as we head down towards the Wilson hairpin. He's looking to the inside of Bursky, the Kevin Mills racing car that's leading. He's got a little bit too deep. That's Nicholas Taylor fully alongside, nearly into the rear end. And look at Tom Mills. Tom Mills is surely going to come alongside now. He's got to the outside going through Palmer's. It'd have to be a big move. He might get it done at Agostini though.
Great start from Jared Boberski. We saw he launched away from the line there. Excellent first clutch drop phase of the start, and then Taylor nearly managed to keep alongside, but around the outside of the first corner to take the lead.
Jack Sherwood instantly on the attack as well. That 78, the black and yellow Elite Motorsports car. They'll be desperate to win around here because, again, the Thetford-based team, they are essentially, it's their home circuit. They're just 15 minutes down the road, and so they'll be desperate to march their way up, not only onto the podium, but into a victory. There was a very long hold on the grid, though. That is going to get into some of the drivers' heads, surely, and potentially wear out a couple of clutches.
The wait while you're waiting on the line and the lights are on for a long time, it's the nervous energy that's been building for the whole weekend. You want to get going, but then you think, oh, you can't go early, because we saw Tom Mills. He went early in the previous race and it cost him 10 seconds and then ultimately a shot at the podium. We see that Jack Sherwood now.
Yeah, Sherwood's trying to get to the outside, coming down into Brundle. It'd have to be a big move. He's kind of looking there, but isn't able to get alongside. Tom Mills was trying to actually get himself alongside Taylor, but now that that kind of move has happened, it's given Taylor the room to really focus on his attack ahead.
We know Taylor has those two left-hand side tyres, and he's also been one of the fastest drivers of the weekend with the second fastest lap in that previous race. Jack Sherwood actually got the fastest lap of the race in race 1 yesterday, so we know he's got pace, but he's got a car between him and Nicholas Taylor. All the talk was about, can Taylor do the triple this weekend? But it looks like Tom Mills is now actually going to put Nicholas Taylor under pressure after a poor exit out of Murray's.
Yeah, slow exit from the final corner and onto the centre straight. This is Tom Mills' best opportunity to find his way past. He's looking to the outside. It's exactly how Boberski got through on the race start, and Tom Mills is going to go all the way around the outside. There's a Kevin Mills Racing 1-2 if he can hold this though. Oh, he's made contact! Somehow they're both still in the race. This is opening up for Jack Sherwood to get straight down the inside, and that number 78 Elite Motorsports car, a little bit of a brush. That was a naughty move from Tom Mills. He kind of pulled it back across whilst Nicholas Taylor was still there. Taylor having to worry about Sherwood, who we know loves a move all the way around the outside, is not able to do this. How are they still in the race?
Oh my goodness, I thought that was race over for Nicholas Taylor there. Normally when you see a touch that violent with front wheel to rear wheel, the front suspension links of the front steering can get broken. We'll see, it remains to be seen whether that steering arm on Nicholas Taylor's car is bent, but he seems like he's still going. That was so close to ending both of their races.
Yeah, incredible stuff, and now it is definitely Kevin Mills Racing 1-2. We'll take a look straight away on the replay. Talk us through it.
So Taylor on the inside, trying to hold an overlap so he can get on the inside of the Wilson hairpin. Mills comes across. He has the right to do, but maybe didn't realise how much of an overlap Taylor had there, and unfortunately that contact cost Taylor a lot of time. You saw the steering get thrown out of Nicholas Taylor's hand, and that actually will be what has happened. That hit, there's a direct line, there's no power steering in these cars. You're a direct link between the steering wheel through the steering column to the wheels, and that will have thrown it out of his hands. We see the two hill speed cars fighting now.
Yeah, this is Megan Gilks looking to the outside of Max Maserati. He has a bit of a moment as well on the braking zone coming into Brundle. The 81
wide
of Maserati, you're absolutely right, he is wide, and now Megan Gilks might look to the inside coming down to Bombhole, but it's a big commitment corner. It's a little bit too high speed this final sector to kind of launch one down the inside.
Yeah. I was chatting with John and Megan and Max before over lunch. They're all good friends off the circuit, but on the circuit, doesn't matter who you're racing, does it?
Not me though. You didn't want to mention that you were talking to me as well.
Oh, of course I was.
I'm a little offended.
Yeah, well, you had other work to do, so we were just having a jolly.
Completely forgot about me. I'm so offended. But either way, the racing obviously will continue with 14 minutes and 10 seconds left to go in the race. We've completed just a couple of laps. We were expecting this race to still be 10 laps as it was yesterday, and it was for the 3 previous races that we had at Snetterton. So there's plenty of time for Nicholas Taylor to march his way back up. But these two, Nicholas Taylor and Jack Sherwood, these two have been the fastest all weekend so far.
Yes.
And so for Kevin Mills Racing, whilst they are leading at the moment 1 and 2, they're leading by a second between the two of them and a second backwards to Taylor. I feel that gap is going to go.
The pace is very similar between the front two of Kevin Mills Racing cars. We know that, of course, there was a bit of an incident with Taylor on the previous lap, so that showed that that's why he had a slower previous lap. But as you can see on the screen now, 1 minute 51.072 from Boberski. He is trying to pull away as best he can from the lead of this race.
The thing is, though, is that comparatively to yesterday's lap, I can't remember whereabouts in the 49s it was, but it was definitely a 1 minute 49 that Jack Sherwood set to make it the fastest lap of the race. So there's more pace in it. Now, you were saying we know about the wind, the temperature and stuff. I mean, this can change. This track can change 2 seconds between 2 different races, like just 2 seconds a lap as to what the absolute best is. But I still feel that there is a lot more in it when it comes to the fastest laps of this race.
We heard from the drivers yesterday that the rain over Friday night meant the track was a lot quicker than they expected on Saturday morning. It's a bit hotter today. Well, the sun is stronger today. I don't know whether it's actually warmer. The sun is definitely heated up in the last hour or so, because this morning it was actually quite chilly. But now it's sun's getting out, the track's getting hot, which will either make the tyres go off or alternatively bring the tyres into a quite nice window, because we know in this GB4 Championship they take a little longer to warm these Pirelli tyres up. They're on the same tyres they do in GB3, but much lighter, much less downforce, much less power, so they're a bit kinder on the tyres, which means that they can last a bit longer. However, they do take a bit longer to come in, which is why we generally see the fastest laps of the race being done towards the latter half of the races.
Yeah, indeed. Now, do you think race control will take a look at the Tom Mills thing? I think he can ill afford 2 penalties in 2 races.
I think due to the fact that there was nothing coming of it, because at that point Tom Mills was ahead, there'll probably be the stewards may talk to Tom and Nick after the race and say, Nicholas Taylor after the race, and say, look, this contact was unnecessary, nothing came of it, so we're not going to do anything about it. However, they'll give them a hint on maybe how they should have both conducted themselves. They'll have a look at the onboard, they'll see much more than we can see on this replay, and they'll say, look, either Nick, you should have just relinquished the position at that point because you knew you weren't going to be able to get past, or alternatively they'll say to Tom that that was a bit of an aggressive defensive manoeuvre. If there's a car there, you need to leave space. Of course, we can't see that on board at the moment, unfortunately, but we'll see that. We also have a driver steward with us at every weekend who is there to assist the actual race stewards from the Motorsport UK. I believe Rob Bath has been the driver steward for previous rounds. I'm not sure if he's here this weekend, but the driver stewards are there to help make that decision and also aid the drivers learning, because this is ultimately a learning championship. Often the first step into car racing. We know Nicholas Taylor's his first season in car racing, and then or a step up from other championships. As we look at Jack Sherwood, he did Ginetta Juniors and the Ginetta Junior Winter Series previously, and it's his first step into single-seater slicks and wings racing.
I mean, like I say, I'm all for the race control stuff, sitting down and being like, this is what you did right, this is what you did wrong, rather than being like, actually, we're just going to blanket, just give you penalties. Because this is a learning championship. I mean, if this was somewhere higher up in the open-wheeled calendar, even in GB3, I'd be like, right, okay, maybe you do need to whack out a penalty. But for this, like you say, it's a learning series. Everyone's still in the race.
Yep.
It was a little bit of drama. Let's just talk about it later. Let's just move on and focus on the race. I'm sure that's probably he's probably playing in Tom Mills' head a little bit, though. You know, a little bit of contact, thinking like, I would assume this anyway. Or do you think this is straight on?
I don't think Tom Mills is giving it a second thought, because he's got the place and he's off in the distance. However, I'm sure Nicholas Taylor will probably be a bit aggrieved with that contact, because it wasn't ultimately, I don't believe, from the replays we saw, his fault. I think the opportunity that the drivers have to have that driver steward who's someone experienced, they can learn off that experience. That's the whole point why the GB4 Championship have wanted that person. Jack Sherwood went very deep into that hairpin.
Yeah, completely made a mess of that. The laps are quicker from those behind, or at least they... Oh, actually, no, never mind. Weberski and Mills. Weberski reset the fast lap of the race. It was Mills in the previous lap, so 50.3 at the moment. The two Kevin Mills racing cars, who, by the way, in the qualifying laps for this session, because obviously this grid is set from the second fastest laps in qualifying, the two Kevin Mills racing cars were separated by 1/1000th of a second.
Was it 1,000?
That small, yes. It was 1,000th decided their position.
Well,
incredible.
Let's have a look at the circuit map. 4.7 kilometres or 2.9 miles in old money. So 1,000th of a second, if you're averaging, say, 90 miles an hour, I won't get my calculator now, but I know that generally 1,000 seconds you're looking at about 10, 15 centimetres, something like that.
The tiniest.
That's
one corner, just slightly too much steering, slightly too little steering, whatever. It's
1,000th of a second is in any other walk of life. When are you ever working with 1,000th of a second? Never.
It's madness. Absolute madness. But yeah, they were separated by 1,000th, and that's what put Weberski onto the front row of the grid. Bit of a moment there again from Jack Sherwood, who's trying to wrestle his way past Nicholas Taylor, but he's got to worry about Maserati directly behind. Of course, Sherwood did finish 4th yesterday, behind the 3 drivers that were ahead of him. It was Nick Taylor that was that won yesterday, and then it was, of course, Mills on the road, and then Weberski, and then Sherwood. And this time I don't feel he's going to be fortunate enough to move himself onto a podium position unless he really works for it, and he's got to fight past the championship leader, who does not seem to have the pace right now to catch the top 2.
I was about to make exactly that point. Mills setting the fast lap now with a 50 flat, so just about a tenth or half a tenth faster than Jared Weberski in the lead. But Taylor, we know he's been the fastest driver basically in every session so far that we've seen. Of course, Sherwood's at the fast lap in the previous race, but we don't know whether Taylor was saving his tyres. Again wide there. I don't know if he's having a braking issue or if he's just pushing on to try and get onto the back of Taylor. That's not going to help him. But anyway, Taylor, he's been one of the fastest drivers of the weekend. I wonder if that contact with Mills has just put his steering out of alignment, which is just taking the edge off his pace that we know he should have. And also, I mentioned at the start of the race, I was expecting him to be fast in this race with 2 new tyres on the left-hand side, with a clockwise circuit. That is the tyre that needs the most grip. So maybe some of the pace missing there, or alternatively, maybe some other teams have just found a bit of extra pace with tweaks between sessions and overnight.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that. even if it didn't knock the car, it might have just briefly knocked his confidence and struggled to get back into the rhythm. Of course, again, this is one of those things that later on in their open wheel career, we'd sit there and be like, it shouldn't knock their confidence. But this is so brand new to a lot of them. The likes of Nicholas Taylor is
Logan
Hanna straight on. Where's that? That's coming down through Oggies, I think, coming into the corner, going onto the Bentley straight. So clearly a bit of a moment there.
Yeah, a bit of a moment. It's very easy to do. Oggies is a very bumpy corner. It's sort of the car sort of jostles around as you're accelerating because the exit, the corner goes for a long time. Let's have a look and see if we've got a replay. So Logan Hanna, no, just brake too late, went in too deep. It is a difficult braking area there. It's quite short, even though you're going quite fast, because the entry is fairly open. You know you've got a wide exit, but there is a bump right where you brake, and if you hit that bump in the wrong way, then it can definitely unsettle the car and cause an issue like that. But unfortunately for Logan Hanna being passed by her teammate Chloe Grant, those two have been locked together all weekend.
Yeah, and they were having some great racing in the previous race. Nicholas Taylor's definitely closed in on Tom Mills this time by. I was going to say as well that it's kind of like the run from Hamilton round into Oggies is very, very tricky. And look at that.
There's the pace. There's Nicholas Taylor. Those tyres are coming into the window. He's resettled himself, reset for the second half of the race with, 6 minutes to go. He is closed onto the back of these leading two very fast. We are now looking at just a 7/10 gap, so he is now closer to Kevin Mills. Sorry. The Kevin Mills racing car of Tom Mills than Tom Mills is to Jared Wilburski for the race lead, and I think that there's going to be some move coming out before the end of the race if the pace stays as it is.
3/4 of a second he closed that lap, did Taylor on That's Mills. Fast. And if we've spoken before, you bring it up in the pre-show as well. John was asking you, we discussed this about the idea of a triple. Now, what does a triple mean in this? It's just winning all 3 races. We've not had it yet in GB4. Of course, we've not had enough weekends to really decide it. This is a perfect weekend for Nicholas Taylor to do it, but he's running 3rd right now. If he wants to get the triple, he has to win this race, spookily enough. And right now, he's got to make a bold move. He was very fast in the first sector as well. He went 3/10 faster in the first sector than Tom Mills, and he's getting very close right now. Yeah, it's getting very close.
Taylor's found some really good pace now. He's obviously resetted or got adjusted to any slight damage or bending on his car, so he's found the pace. He's caught right up to the back of Tom Mills now. As we can see them, we're going into this section of the circuit. It's completely fast out. That Kevin Mills racing car, Tom Mills through the bomb hole as they follow very closely. This is the closest that he's been by some stretch. I don't think a move into Murray's is probably the wisest thing for Nicholas Taylor to do. We'll see if he can get a run onto the main straight. You can see the car sideways through there.
Big moment, yeah, and this might be the move for Nicholas Taylor if we can get it right. It was a little bit too deep there from Tom Mills, and Taylor will be right. If you look at Jack Sherwood as well, up into the he got sent straight up into the air as well because he just bottomed out on that curve. And now Maserati's going to be very close to making a move down into turn 1. I think Nicholas Taylor is right there. He's not quite close enough to do so. There is Maserati looking to the outside of Jack Sherwood. This is for 4th position at the moment, and let's see, because these two had a great move in the first race of the weekend yesterday, but they weren't able to switch around on this occasion. Nicholas Taylor also still not able to get past. We have 3 laps left to go in this race, so there's still plenty more opportunities.
2 groups of 3 now. We've got actually Jared Wilburski's still got a decent gap. 2nd and 3rd are right together, and then 4th, 5th and 6th, the black and yellow Elite Motorsport car of Jack Sherwood, followed by the 2 Hill Speed red and white cars. Max Maserati followed by Megan Gilks, both in the black helmet, and Maserati looks for a dive. Whoa, that's a late move. And the cut back from Jack Sherwood. We've seen Jack Sherwood loves the race. Oh, and the side-by-side down to Hamilton. This is a very fast corner. Full overlap from Jack Sherwood. I think he's going to get past, and he does. Max Maserati, that was a very bold move. I like his effort, but unfortunately just a bit too late on the brakes there.
Yeah, I mean, we were nicknaming Jack Sherwood Postman Pat yesterday, but I'm pretty sure Maserati might be taking that nickname after a big old send like that. Wasn't able to hold on to the move. That was a big one. Bit of a bump there as well as they were coming out through through Williams onto the Bentley straight. Very tricky to hook it over, and Wilburski currently leading at the moment, then still from Mills in that grey and blue car. The white and red of Nicholas Taylor still attacking, but he's not able to get through in that number 66. He's still trying to find his way past that Fortec machine. It is a Kevin Mills Racing 1-2, and there just isn't the opportunity yet.
Very, very close. He's looking to try and force a mistake on Tom Mills there. Tom Mills is soaking up the pressure. You can see how hard he's pushing with the move. This is, again, very, very close. If he can get a good exit, Nicholas Taylor, in that red and white Fortec car, then that'll give him a good run into turn 1. We've seen him try and make moves there before, but hasn't been successful so far. And then these 3 in 3rd, 4th and 5th and 6th place as well.
I was chatting to Taylor yesterday, who's now looking to the outside, coming down into the first corner. Richie's going to try and get the up and under. He was saying the Kevin Mills racing cars were so big moment from both of them. Oh my goodness, they both managed to keep it onto the road. That was absolutely incredible. Mills had gone wide, and then Taylor followed him crucially.
Oh, wow, that was very, very nearly a repeat of what we saw from Callum Boyson in the GB3 race, where you just dropped 2 wheels there. I thought that was a one-way ticket to the barrier for Nicholas Taylor, but he saved that so well. It has cost him some time. He's now dropped back a little bit off the back of Tom Mills, unfortunately, but he'll get straight on the back as quickly as he can. Tom Mills using all the road.
I was going to point that out on the previous lap, coming down to Agostini. He is not only on the way, he's not far off from touching the grass. That is a risky line to be taken.
That is very risky. Just one touch of the grass, as we saw at turn 1 from both of them, and you can be off. Let's have a look at this again. So, Tom Mills trying to go in deep to try and stop Nicholas Taylor going around the outside, but that means they both go wide, and then Taylor in the dirty air of the car in front, just understeering and going off the circuit. He controlled that beautifully, because that could have ended really badly with a huge accident on the inside. We've seen some big accidents there in different series over the years.
And unlike in GB3, where they do have a few hours between the races. Oh, here we go, never mind, I'll waffle on later on. Nicholas Taylor looking to the outside, he's going to commit around there. The number 66 red and white Fortec car of Nicholas Taylor, your championship leader, does make it stick on Mills. Lovely stuff around the outside of Brundle into Nelson, and now he is into second position, but that gap is big to Jared Wilburski. It's going to be around about 2 to 2.5 seconds when they come round to finish this lap and head on to the final lap of this race. But super stuff there.
Whoa.
Oh, and a big moment. He's going to be under attack. You know he's going to be under attack from Mills this time by.
That was a poor exit out of the last corner. It's the last thing he would have wanted, having to work so hard to get past Tom Mills, and succeeded in around the outside of Brundle and to the inside of Nelson. That's a great move. We now see Tom Mills going around the outside. Can he give a repeat?
Yeah, he's going to give it a go. He doesn't quite do it, but he's going to try and do the undercut. A bit of a moment there from Nicholas Taylor. He's going to run a little bit wide, and this is Tom Mills coming straight back to the inside as we head down towards Woodson. There's nothing between him and Tom Mills. There's a puncture as well for Nicholas Taylor. He's gone straight on. Front wing missing. Oh my goodness me. See Nicholas Taylor all the way out to the barrier that I don't think has seen a car in years, and you can see how angry he is. Tom Mills with no front wing. He's surely going to lose the podium out to Jack Sherwood and Max Maserati, but what do you make of that?
Contact twice in this race. First time they got away with it, second time did not. Taylor understandably so disappointed. And how far did that car go? That small contact with the front wing of Tom Mills to the rear tyre of Nicholas Taylor popped the tyre. Nicholas Taylor cut it and then also ruined the front wing. Tom Mills is still trying to defend to hold his podium. I think he'll do well to hold that out, because without that front wing you do lose a lot of front downforce. Oh, contact again! And now Max Maserati look at the inside of Jack Sherwood.
Yeah, this is the issue.
What a move.
Obviously, he's got no front wing, has Tom Mills. He's trying to hold it around the outside. Jack Sherwood, though, in that number 78 Elite Motorsports car, is trying to get the podium. Max Maserati, the most consistent man in the championship, as they're all going to be super tight, all battling for second and third position in this race as we head down towards Brundle and Nelson again. It's the inside line for the number 21, lacking a front wing. Max Maserati straight around the outside, and Maserati onto the podium once again. Jack Sherwood is being denied the undercut from a car without a front wing, who sent it into the inside of bomb hole. He isn't able to do so. Big moment from Max Maserati. As all this is happening, Jared Wilburski has run away, and Jack Sherwood straight around the outside of Coram. Super stuff. The two of them onto the podium. Megan Jilks as well, looking to the inside of Tom Mills. He's on a one-way trip backwards as his teammate's going to win the race. Jared Wilburski on top here at Snetterton, and somehow, after the craziest final lap, here we go to a drag race to the line. It's just about Maserati, and Jack Sherwood in third. My goodness, what a crazy lap.
What an end to the race. There was 4 of them all together. I could not have called that. That is incredible. Tom Mills did excellently to keep those cars behind for so long without a front wing, because that would make a big difference to the front grip he had, because these front wings produce quite a decent amount of downforce, even with that single element. But, must be said, Wilburski, an emporious victory up at the front there. Well done to Wilburski. It's another victory he's done. So is that, wait, that is his, and another victory.
Second victory. He won at Alton Park.
Yes, of course he did in the second round of the season. So excellent race. Wow. Wow.
Absolutely madness. I don't think I'm going to say that is the craziest end to a GB4 race we've ever had so far. Absolutely incredible. Wilburski then will take the victory with Maserati and Sherwood behind. Jilks and then Mills. Mills dropping back from second position, or really third at the start of that lap, down into 5th place. Then Chloe Grant, Logan Hanna and Jessica Edgar. Nicholas Taylor obviously retiring from the race. Whether that will count as him finishing,
yes.
He should still count as a finisher.
Yeah,
he was within 75% of the race distance. So he still gets points, the championship leader.
But for 9th.
But oh my goodness. Now, I feel bad for John Jackson. He's going to have to interview
there he
after
is.
the race.
Nicholas Taylor.
It's going to be mad.
Gutting. Look at it. You can see the disappointment on his face through the helmet. That's how disappointed he is. And that's just the fine margins. He was defending very hard. I would say that was probably Taylor's. I'll let you run through the race.
Yeah, here we go then. Highlights then from the race. And like you say, from the initial start, it was a great launch from Woberski as Taylor would drop back into second position. It was the big move for the race lead. And it was the only switch for the race lead that we saw all race weekend. Jack Sherwood and Max Maserati would battle for fourth position as Taylor would try and come his way back. But it was Sherwood on the attack of Mills, nearly around the outside of Agostini to get himself onto the podium. He'd have to wait a little bit later on. The dicey racing, though, was all over for third position. Everyone trying to find out their bit of track position and all wait to attack Nicholas Taylor. Eventually, Tom Mills would try and attack Nicholas Taylor. Would get around the outside at the first corner, they'd make contact here, and somehow Nicholas Taylor and Tom Mills would stay in the race. It certainly wasn't the last time we saw contact between the two. Jack Sherwood would have a couple of issues coming down into the Wilson hairpin as he would drop it in a little bit too deep a couple of times and come under pressure from Max Maserati. Logan Hanna would have an issue coming through Oggies, and she'd drop behind her teammate Chloe Grant in the Graham Brunton racing cars, who'd battled out a couple of times in the previous race of the weekend. Big send from Max Maserati down the inside of Jack Sherwood, who'd get back up the inside in that Elite Motorsports car. They'd run side by side up towards Hamilton. Maserati in the red and white car on the outside would have to yield, and the 78 would get himself back up in the fourth position. It was a crazy final lap, though, that would see Woberski winning the race, and this was the battle behind. After contact between Taylor and Mills, it was absolute pandemonium. Maserati would get through into second position. Jack Sherwood around the outside going through Coram, and then a final move down into the inside at Murray's would see the car of Megan Gilks up onto fourth position. A drag race up towards the line, and a podium which, if we'd have looked back not 3 minutes ago, we would have said that's not going to be the podium, surely not. What a crazy end to the race, all hands being shaken, and of course Jared Woberski, your race winner for the second time this season. Like I said before, it did take that victory back in Alton Park in the third race of the weekend, and has had some incredible speed. We had a little bit of a wait to see him back onto the podium. Had kind of struggled every now and then. He has had a podium in every single race. But this will actually be his third consecutive podium for Woberski. And not only that, it does one of those things that me as a commentator really, really like. He finished in third in the final race at Donington Park, second in the race yesterday, and then first in this race today. So he's gone third, second, and first. I don't think he can finish in 0th, but I'm sure he might well try in the next race, of course, a little bit later on in the afternoon. See what he can do in that reverse grid race, where he'll be starting from 7th place. John Jackson will be catching up with these drivers. You can see him there. Here's Jared Woberski.
Yeah, I'm here with the race winner, Jared Woberski, here, just shaking hands with Kevin Mills from Kevin Mills Racing. Your team boss, he must be very happy. But first of all, you must be happy. It's your second win of the season.
Yeah, no, really, really happy. I knew we had the pace all weekend. We've been really on it. Yesterday with the P2 was also another good result. And this week, and into race 2, I just knew if I just got a good start and got ahead, could maintain the gap and pull away, which, I managed to get a really good start in the beginning and then pulled away and just managed the gap towards the end. Really happy. And
I think you benefited there from your teammate Tom Mills, having that battle with Nicholas Taylor, because you managed to pull out a gap there, which meant that it was all happening behind you and you could just focus on your race.
Yeah, definitely. I knew the first few laps here were very, very crucial. So I managed to get that gap in the beginning, so that helped me. So when they started battling it, I just grew the gap in the end. So really, really happy.
Very good. And obviously with Alex Walker not being here, it means that now it's great for you because you jump up and you're now very much in the championship picture with 3 rounds to go after this round.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we jumped to P3 in the championship yesterday. And winning race 2 is also really good, beating Max and Nicholas in that one. So really good championship points so far this weekend.
Absolutely, and obviously you're a karting champion back home in South Africa, and perhaps you could be a champion here. So Jared, we'll let you go and celebrate with your team, with your father Garth. Let's have a look. We've got Max Maserati here. I feel Max Maserati, who saw that action at the end there, was just very much the benefactor of a lot of good luck there, wasn't he, Max Maserati?
Yeah, he made the best of a really, really tricky situation there.
I'm going to grab him here. Sorry, I'll grab him here. Hello, I've got to talk to you, I'm afraid. Did you imagine you'd be finishing P2? I don't imagine you did.
Oh, no. No, I mean, that was... I hope Nick's all right, because when I came by, he was still in the wall, so I hope he's good. But that was crazy, like, absolutely crazy. Like, I was having my own battle with Jack for, like, a couple of months before then, and I was kind of like, oh, well, you know, if Mills can get past Nick and I can get past Jack, that limits the damage again. You know, at least we're not eking up too much of a gap. But then next thing I know, Nick's off the road, Tom's got a broken front wing, and I was behind Jack thinking if I time it right, I could do the both of them. And that's exactly what we did. But mega job by the team. You know, yesterday, as I say, we felt we had some kind of power issues sorted. Like, we were so good there. So that was really, really good fun. And the reverse grid race is going to be really good fun as well.
It is, obviously, with such a small grid as well, it's going to be quite interesting. I have to say, Nicholas Taylor's fine. He was out walking of the car, so that's good. And obviously, we were watching this and we were saying that, you know, with the Tom Mills and Nicholas Taylor incident early in the race, when Nicholas Taylor was getting close to Tom Mills, everyone was a little bit worried because obviously we thought that Nicholas Taylor's going to want to get that place back and maybe he'll show the same aggression that Tom did.
Well, it's like he did, didn't he?
yeah. But it's helped you out and it's helped Megan out and it's, you know.
Because I don't know what the championship points are, but I think we're either very close to Nick if we haven't just chipped him now.
I mean, you're up there now with Nick and with now Jared Wilburski obviously winning his second race.
He's going to be up there as well, because I know he's taking points off me. But again, having that second is obviously mega. I think it's only 6 points he'd gain, so it's getting really, really close at the front. Wow.
Do you know what else is really close? It's a Max Maserati race win as well, because you know you're constantly on Mr. Consistency on the podium all the time. But you know what? That's what you need. You could in theory win the championship without winning a race.
It is true. I mean, we were only from the halfway point, 12 points off the lead second, and now that's narrowed again, and we still haven't won one.
It's coming. I've got to move on. Max Maserati with hill speed coming P2 there. I'm just going to come round and speak to Jack Sherwood very, very briefly. The drivers do have to get to the podium. Richard Randall, of course, the man, the myth, the legend there from MSV. Jack, we're going to be very quick because I think they need to get to the podium. But I don't think you imagined, like Max didn't imagine he'd come second. I don't think you were imagining you'd be on the podium.
No, well, the pace wasn't quite there, I don't think, today, or that race to push up to...
we're just going to have to move. Sorry, we're just going to have to move slightly. I think I was getting
up to them. But no, I was kind of sitting back and watching it all happen. I had to defend a bit from the two hill speeds, but after that we kind of pushed forward a bit, not at the rate we would have liked, but yeah, and then I saw them kind of battling and we were pulling up to them, and then obviously they made contact, and then we kind of got caught up behind Tom a bit. But no, I was happy with how it went, to be honest.
It will happen in front of you. We're going to let you go, but obviously the reverse grid race, Jack Sherwood, will be very, very interesting for him, starting a little bit further towards the front in the Elite Motorsports car. Me and Piers will dissect that race in just a second, but we'll hand over to Lewis McGlade for the podium.
Wow, I mean, I have commentated on some crazy races in my time, but that one will pretty much top the list with that final race. Told you that we don't need too many cars to have some great racing. The 9 that we've had have put on quite a show this afternoon. Of course, it is not the last time that we'll see them racing this afternoon. They will race a little bit later on. The final race of the weekend will be at 20 minutes past 3 local time, at least that's when it's scheduled to happen. We have been moving a little bit earlier than expected through the day, so we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen on that one. But if this race is anything to go by, the reverse grid race a bit later on will be absolutely crazy. Nicholas Taylor, after all that, did set the fastest lap of the race, but sent straight off into the barrier. It's a tricky incident between Mills and Taylor there. They had already made contact a bit earlier on in the race. I think that one will certainly be investigated by race control. It's a little bit of a tricky one. You can maybe argue being a racing incident or whatnot, but I am not a steward, nor am I a racing driver, so I shall not judge. Jack Sherwood on to another podium. That is his 4th consecutive podium for Jack Sherwood. Incredible consistency, and is in great position in the next race as well to potentially take a first win. Nice one from Max Maserati. I try not to laugh at that, but obviously chipping his way up onto the podium. Another one for him this season. That will be his 7th podium of 2022. And Jared Wilburski, the race winner from Alton Park, and the race winner today. It's his 7th podium as well, and not only that, it's his 2nd victory and his 3rd consecutive podium. Also super drive from Wilburski, who, despite all the drama behind, probably has no idea what actually happened in the race behind him, because it was absolutely crazy and he was far away from it. Ended up winning that race incredibly by 7.5 seconds. Absolutely crazy. Maserati and Sherwood behind were separated by just a 10th, which, I mean, to be fair, when you see Maserati and Wilburski, when they're quite close on the leaderboard, I always assume they're going to be separated by less than a 10th. In the opening 2 races of the season, the 2 of them were separated by less than a 10th of a second. It just shows how incredible they are. And despite all the photographs of the podium, they're still always having a little bit of a chat. I'm sure they have a lot to catch up on, just because of how Absolutely crazy that race was. I got a lot to catch up on, and hey, maybe some of it might not have been too positive. You kind of always have to wonder with that. Racing drivers, well, in races they can get a little bit feisty. Post-race, they can somehow be even more feisty. But in this, it all seems quite comfortable. Max Maserati inviting a fan up onto the podium to hold another well-deserved trophy. It's actually the first time that we've seen Maserati on the podium since that first race at Donington Park, where he was challenging Nicholas Taylor for the win. That was 5 races ago, but the Mr. Consistent continues the consistent challenge. We'll head down though to Nicholas Taylor, or we'll see the Nicholas Taylor incident again. It's tricky there. See, the thing is Tom Mills doesn't really have a major overlap. He's driven onto the grass to get alongside Nicholas Taylor. That is a very tricky one, and you know that Nicholas Taylor is going to be very, very disappointed indeed. You can see how irritated he is in all of that, and I can't wait to catch up with Nicholas Taylor and find out what is going to be going on there, because I think that is one driver that will be very, very frustrated indeed. And you don't have to listen to me anymore. We can listen to actually what happened from Nicholas Taylor's point of view. Here's John, standing by.
Yeah, we're here with the cars getting weighed after the race, and I mean, we've already had Tom Mills' car. I mean, we can probably walk over and see it in just a second, but you know, can we just talk about what happened at the end there? I mean, it looked like Nicholas maybe squeezed Tom a little bit, but you know, Nicholas going out and Tom losing his front. I mean, it was a little bit chaotic towards the end.
Oh, what a chaotic last lap. It was all kicked off with the battle of the second place with Tom Mills and Nicholas Taylor. We saw earlier in the race Taylor trying to get the undercut through turn 1 to get past Tom Mills. There was a bit of contact, then a complete role reversal in the last lap, which meant that Taylor tried to chop down on Mills as he tried to get the undercut, chopped down all the way to the grass. Mills had 2 wheels on the grass. Potentially Taylor squeezed him a bit too hard considering he knew he was there, and there was contact between the front wing of Tom Mills and the rear wheel of Nicholas Taylor, which punctured the tyre of Taylor, which saw him go straight on all the way to the barriers. And then Mills would then had to fight for the rest of the lap without a front wing, which makes a big difference. You get a lot of understeer where the car pushes straight because you've got less grip on the front. We went to see if we could have a chat with Tom. He's understandably still quite... the emotions are still high from the race, so he wasn't going to chat to us now. Maybe we might get a word from him later. And Nicholas Taylor's still on his way back with the car, so no huge damage to the cars. Should be absolutely fine to get out for race 3, but still very disappointing for both drivers. In your opinion, those 2 incidents there, was anyone particularly at fault where they could get a penalty, they could get a telling off, or is it a racing incident? I think the first instance where they made first contact when Taylor was on the inside of Mills, I think Mills squeezed Taylor a bit too much and there was the contact, but nothing bad came of it, so I imagine I'll probably leave that as a racing incident. The second one was a little bit further into the braking zone, towards the braking zone. Taylor knew that Mills was there, so I'm looking potentially at either Taylor getting a penalty, or they'll just have give him a word saying potentially you squeezed him too hard. The penalty was he didn't finish the race, so exactly. I don't think there's any point giving him a time penalty at this stage because he finished last in the race. And obviously a great win for Jared Wilberski. We chatted to him there. It's his second win of the season, and it's good for him because it means he's up there in the championship race. So a good result for Kevin Mills Racing, but a very frustrating weekend for Tom Mills because obviously coming second yesterday, but then getting demoted because of that penalty, and then what's happened here, just it's really, really not ideal for him. And going into this final race, he's really got something to prove. So I'm sure once he's calmed down, he's going to be really, out there to make up some places and try and salvage something from this weekend. Absolutely. We spoke to him, as I mentioned before, just after qualifying. He was really, really upbeat. He was saying it's best qualifying of the year, second and third. Let's walk and see if we can see Tom Mills' car. But yes, he was upbeat, wasn't he? Yeah. He was upbeat, second or third. Second and third in race 1 and race 2. Unfortunately, race 1 we saw he had that penalty for the jump start, completely that was a puddle I just stepped in there. Sorry, self-inflicted. And so he was really disappointed with that. And then he was driving an excellent race for holding off Nicholas Taylor in that one. Managed to get past him earlier in the race. Yeah. But then, as you can see here, at the front of the car, you can see the front wing is no longer there, and you can see where the bolts have been just sheared out of the bottom of the nose, and that makes a big difference in lap time. Regardless of the fact that these are fairly simple and rudimentary wings, just a single plane with a little gurney, which is the vertical element on the back of the front wing, it will definitely make a big difference to the amount of front grip you've got. These cars are rear engines, all the weight's at the back, all the power's at the back, and so you need that front wing to balance the grip throughout, especially the medium and high speed corners, which there are a lot of on the second half of this lap at Snetterton. So Tom Mills did an excellent job to hold off the remaining pack for so long, but unfortunately on the last sector just lost all those places and finished in, that would have been I can't remember.
Maths. Anyway, look, his car is already being worked on now, so they'll get that ready for the reverse grid race, which is coming up a little bit later on. And he's been quite quick, so I'm sure he's towards the front, towards the back, I imagine, of the reverse grid. But I'm sure he can make up some places. And as I say, he's got a point to prove. So we'll look out for Tom Mills. And obviously, let's see what Jared Roberski can do. He's obviously got the pace. He's obviously driving really well as well.
Excellent.
And I'm looking around, and I don't think we're going to get any other drivers. Obviously, we mentioned Nicholas Taylor there. The Graham Brunton Racing girls don't seem to be around. So you know what? With this slightly smaller grid this weekend, I think we'll leave it there. We have one more race, the reverse grid race in GB4 coming up. But we'll be back for the next race in the GB3 Championship. That is the reverse grid race in about 20 minutes or so.